The turmoil inside the Democratic Party growing tonight thanks to a new round of shocking revelations by former DNC chair Donna Brazile. And to make matters worse for the Democrats, it comes on the eve of some critical state elections. Ed Henry joins us live with the very latest fallout from Brazile's tell-all. Hey, Ed.
Shannon, great to see you. Some top aides to Hillary Clinton want Donna Brazile to stop, but tonight she's vowing she will not be silenced. Brazile charging this new book that Clinton's campaign that talks so much about inclusion and shattering the ultimate glass ceiling was actually dominated by an inner circle of male aides who exhibited what she calls sexist behavior towards Brazile. The book especially rough on the campaign manager, Robbie Mook, according to an excerpt obtained by the Huffington Post, with Brazile writing, quote, "He had the habit of nodding when you were talking, leaving you with the impression that he has listened to you, but then never seeming to follow up on what you thought you agreed on." It got so ugly that she says on one conference call, Brazile actually blurted to all the male aides on the call, quote, "Gentlemen, let's just put our manhood out on the table and see who's got the bigger one, because I know mine is bigger than all of yours." Then there's the inside story of what happened after Clinton fainted at a 9/11 memorial event, which forced the campaign to belatedly admit that the candidate had been diagnosed with pneumonia a few days earlier. Brazile reveals she considered a last-minute switch to the ticket, Vice President Biden at the top, and Senator Cory Booker as his running mate, though she did not have the sole power for such a bold shakeup, and the idea went nowhere anyway. Dozens of Clinton aides, including Huma Abedin, signed an open letter to Brazile over the weekend, charging she was buying into Russian propaganda about Clinton's health. And Robbie Mook, the campaign manager, today said he does not recognize the campaign she describes in the book and wishes Brazile was not causing so much turmoil ahead of those big gubernatorial races tomorrow in Virginia and New Jersey.
I'm sure Donna was under a lot of pressure from her publisher to put this book out right on this election week when we have critical elections happening around the country. I wish she just put her foot down and said no.
For those who are telling me to shut up, they told Hillary that a couple of months ago. You know what I tell them? Go to hell. I'm going to tell my story.
Meanwhile, the Hill newspaper reporting tonight, then FBI Director James Comey originally planned to accuse Clinton of being, quote, grossly negligent in handling classified info during his July 2016 news conference, closing out the email case, according to a draft memo they obtained. But then Comey softened it to say she was, quote, extremely careless. This is Republican Lindsey Graham stepped up his call for a much more serious probe of various Democratic problems.
I think we need a special counsel to investigate the Uranium One episode where thousands of dollars were given to the Clinton Global Fund and to former President Bill Clinton from groups tied to Russia.
Now, Republican Senator Charles Grassley tonight fired off a letter to the current FBI Director Christopher Wray demanding more details on how that 2016 Comey statement was put together. Shannon?
We will follow that for answers. Ed Henry, thank you so much.
Great to see you.
All right, so this DNC controversy with Donna Brazile comes right before some key elections tomorrow. That is irking some Democrats who say this is not the time to be airing the party's dirty laundry. So what's at stake tomorrow? Looking ahead to the midterms, we've got one man to ask. Fox News politics editor Chris Steyerwald is here to break it down. Okay, so you heard the pushback there that they're sort of like, Donna, could you not talk about this right now? We got some big ones tomorrow.
Well, it's one constituency, and it's the House of Clinton, which doesn't matter anymore. Hillary Clinton definitely still matters to the Republicans who want to talk about Hillary Clinton every daggone day. Because, by the way, I don't know whether you saw the poll. Hillary Clinton still ties Donald Trump in a head-to-head matchup.
You're saying there's a chance.
Exactly. So the Clinton people want to shut Donna Brazile up, but I find it interesting. Democrats are using wedge issues and cultural issues, identity politics, against themselves rather successfully. Donna Brazile says, you're a sexist, who's a racist, get over here, big trouble. Republicans use those same issues. Ed Gillespie is using similar issues against Democrats in Virginia and has gotten the race pretty close. The Virginia race, you saw our poll. You take the average of polls, it's closer than, I'll put it this way, it's much closer than it should be. And Ralph Northam, the lieutenant governor, is a good Democratic candidate. He's a basic kind of Virginia mayonnaise sandwich Democrat, boring and moderate. So he's the right kind of candidate. And he's only, 3, 5, 6 points up. It should be much better than that.
Mayonnaise sandwich. Are there other things in there or just mayonnaise and bread?
In Virginia, if the Democrats go mayonnaise on whole wheat, the Republicans go mayonnaise on white.
Okay. I'm anti-mayo, just for the record.
That's un-American.
Okay, so let's hear what Ed Gillespie, who's the GOP contender, he had an interview with our own Laura Ingraham last hour. Here is what he said about how he's feeling.
I can feel the momentum everywhere we're going, and I've been everywhere over the course of the past, well, certainly the past year, but just in the past week. And I can tell you the crowds have been great, and the enthusiasm and energy and intensity is all on our side right now.
You've talked about how tight the polls are relatively in this race, but when you talk about momentum and what you feel, we've seen this work in some campaigns and not work in some other campaigns as an indicator of what people will really turn out and vote.
Gillespie has an interesting disadvantage here. He was famous for his close call with Mark Warner in 2014, and nobody saw him coming, and Republicans wouldn't even fund him. He was desperate for money. He said, give me a little help here. I just need a nudge. Nobody saw it happening. This time, he's got a disadvantage, which is the Democrats, as much of a discombobulation that their party currently is, as bad off they are in all those ways, they know this is a threat, and they're treating it as a serious one. Now, every year or every 2 years, we go through this with Democrats. Can they get their people to the polls? Turnout is Republicans just turn out. They vote like they mean to do it. Rain, sleet, snow or shine, they go vote. Question for Democrats is, in this off-year election, can they get their voters to the polls? And if they can't, what does that tell us about 2018? They've got a big structural advantage for 2018 and sort of the generic ballot test. But if those real human beings don't go show up at the polls, then they're going to lose.
You and I will talk about this tomorrow night.
I know it's going to be so exciting.
It's going to be very exciting, and also
elections.
I want people. I know, just for one night, and I want people to tweet us about mayonnaise sandwiches because I'm still very confused about that. Tell us what you would put on the sandwich in addition to the mayonnaise. All right, after the break, hear the miraculous story about the Good Samaritan who chased down the Texas shooter. Plus, we'll introduce you to a pair of heroes hiding right in the pews.
I just asked that God was with me, and I knew what I was going to do, and I never once thought about turning around and leaving. I just knew what I had to do.
They'll share their life-saving stories of standing up in the face of real danger next.